Hello, this is Dr. Sophie Miller, and today I need to tell you something that may be happening to you right at this very moment without you even realizing it. The first thing you do when you wake up could be destroying your memory in a silent and progressive way. I know it sounds like an exaggeration, but I guarantee you it's not. There's a morning habit so common, so automatic, that millions of people over 60 years old repeat every single day. And this error is accelerating cognitive decline, feeding neuroinflammation, and paving the way straight to Alzheimer's disease. If you're over 60 years old and you've been forgetting names, losing your train of thought during conversations, or experiencing that brain fog sensation right in the morning, pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you now, because what you eat or fail to eat in the first hours of the day can determine whether your brain ages with clarity and vitality or deteriorates rapidly. Before I continue, I want you to stop for a moment and think with me. Have you ever paused to reflect on what happens inside your brain while you sleep? While you're in deep sleep, resting, your brain is working intensively. It consolidates all the memories from the previous day, cleans up accumulated toxins like beta-amyloid protein that's directly associated with the development of Alzheimer's disease, and prepares itself metabolically for the next day. It's extraordinary and essential work. But when you wake up in the morning, your brain is in an energy deficit. It spent hours, many hours, without receiving glucose, without essential amino acids, without the fundamental nutrients that sustain the neurotransmitters responsible for your mental clarity, your focus, your memory. And here's the big problem that very few people understand. After 60 years of age, the brain loses a significant part of its natural ability to regulate glucose and protect itself against inflammatory processes. Insulin sensitivity decreases, the blood-brain barrier, that natural protection your brain has, becomes more fragile and permeable, and neurons become dramatically more vulnerable to oxidative stress. It's precisely at this delicate moment, right when you wake up, when your brain is crying out for quality nutrients, that most people commit the fatal error that gradually deteriorates brain function day after day. Let me explain what the two destructive patterns are that I see every day in my practice. The first pattern is this. You wake up and have coffee with sugar, eat white bread, cookies, or cake. Sometimes just boxed juice or a very sweet fruit like a really ripe banana or mango. It seems harmless, it even seems healthy in some cases, but it's far from it. The second pattern is also extremely common. You simply skip breakfast completely without any planned nutritional strategy, leaving your brain fasting for 14-16 hours or more, while your body no longer has the same capacity to produce ketones efficiently as it did when you were younger. And you know what these two patterns have in common? Both cause exactly the same type of damage to your brain. They provoke brutal spikes in blood glucose followed by sudden and dangerous drops, generate chronic brain inflammation, and cause a severe deficit of essential neurotransmitters like acetylcholine, which is the neurotransmitter of memory, serotonin, which regulates your mood, and dopamine, which controls your motivation and ability to feel pleasure. I'm going to explain in detail what happens inside your body. When you ingest refined carbohydrates right upon waking, glucose shoots up in your blood abruptly. Your pancreas, in response, releases excessive insulin to try to control this avalanche of sugar. Glucose enters the cells, but in a completely disordered, chaotic way. And then, within a few hours, you experience reactive hypoglycemia, that sudden drop in energy, that inexplicable dizziness, irritation for no apparent reason, mental confusion, difficulty reasoning. Have you ever felt that? That sensation that you urgently need to eat something sweet mid-morning. Well, that's your body reacting to the breakfast mistake. But the worst part, and pay attention to this because it's extremely serious, is that this vicious cycle of glucose spikes and crashes activates a type of cell called microglia, which are your brain's defense cells. When activated chronically and inappropriately, these cells release inflammatory cytokines that literally damage your neurons, impair the formation of new neural connections, and dramatically accelerate the accumulation of amyloid plaques in the brain, which is the trademark, the biological signature of Alzheimer's disease. I want to tell you about one of my patients. I'll call her Mrs. Helen to preserve her privacy. I met Mrs. Helen about 2 years ago. She was 67 years old, a retired teacher, a brilliant, cultured woman who loved to read and study. But she started noticing something disturbing. She was forgetting where she left her glasses several times a day, missing important appointments she had scheduled, and most distressing for her was that she could no longer follow her favorite TV series. She simply couldn't retain the plot, forgot the characters, lost the thread of the story. When we talked at length about her eating routine, I discovered the destructive pattern that was happening every single day. She would wake up at 7 in the morning, have coffee with white bread, margarine, and a large glass of industrialized orange juice. Around 10 o'clock, she'd feel hungry again and eat butter cookies with more coffee. By noon, she was already exhausted, confused, without mental energy, unable to concentrate on any activity. I asked her to do a simple test for just 3 weeks. Replace that inflammatory breakfast with scrambled eggs made with extra virgin olive oil, half a sliced avocado, a handful of Brazil nuts, and red berries like strawberries or blueberries. No white bread, no industrialized juice. And you know what happened? In just 3 weeks, Mrs. Helen came back to the office completely transformed. She told me a phrase I'll never forget. "Doctor, it's like a dense fog lifted from my head and now I can see everything clearly again." Her mental clarity returned impressively. Her energy was constant throughout the entire day. The memory lapses decreased drastically. She went back to watching her series, went back to reading with pleasure. What changed in her life? Her brain simply stopped suffering that glucose roller coaster every morning. Now I'm going to be very direct with you. I'm going to tell you exactly which foods you need to completely avoid when you wake up, especially if you're over 60 years old. White bread, French bread, refined toast all have an extremely high glycemic index, have no fiber, have no real nutrients. They're empty calories that assault your brain. Sugary breakfast cereals, even those that claim to be whole grain, have hidden sugar in absurd amounts. Fruit juice, even if you make it at home, even if it's natural, without fiber, the fructose goes directly into the bloodstream and spikes your blood sugar. Fruits with a high glycemic index like very ripe banana, mango, watermelon, cookies, cakes, croissants, which combine refined carbohydrates with trans fats, generating double and devastating inflammation. Do you consume any of these foods regularly when you wake up? Be honest with yourself. But I didn't come here just to tell you what not to do. I came to show you the path to true brain protection. I'm going to tell you exactly what you should eat when you wake up to stabilize your blood sugar, deeply nourish your neurons, and combat inflammation naturally and powerfully. Eggs, whether scrambled, boiled, or as an omelette, are extremely rich sources of choline, an essential nutrient for producing acetylcholine, which is the neurotransmitter of memory, learning, and attention. Avocado, which provides good fats fundamental for protecting the myelin sheath of your neurons. that protective layer that guarantees rapid and efficient transmission of nerve impulses. Red berries like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, which contain anthocyanins, extraordinary bioactive compounds that reduce brain inflammation and protect neurons from oxidative stress. Nuts and walnuts, natural sources of omega-3, magnesium, selenium, all crucial minerals for healthy cognitive function. Plain, unsweetened yogurt or kefir, which provide live probiotics that modulate the gut-brain axis, that powerful connection between your digestive health and your mental health. The secret, pay attention, is in combining quality protein with good fat and low glycemic index carbohydrate. Let me give you a practical example of a truly protective breakfast. 2 scrambled eggs prepared with olive oil, half a sliced avocado, a generous handful of fresh strawberries, and 5 Brazil nuts. This keeps your blood sugar stable for hours, nourishes your brain with all the neurotransmitter precursors it needs, and radically reduces inflammation. Can you imagine the results with this simple change? And you know what's most incredible? When you correct this morning error, the results appear very quickly. In the first week, you'll feel less brain fog, you'll have more constant energy throughout the day. Between the second and third week, your memory becomes sharper, you begin to forget less, to retain more information. From the 4th to the 8th week, you'll notice significant improvement in mood, concentration, ability to learn new things, willingness to perform activities that previously seemed exhausting. It's not magic. It's not a miracle. It's simply brain biochemistry functioning exactly as it should function when you provide the right nutrients. Science proves everything I'm telling you. Recent and rigorous studies show that frequent glucose spikes increase the risk of developing dementia by up to 40%. Research published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease unequivocally demonstrates that diets with a high glycemic index accelerate cognitive decline in older adults. And neuroimaging analyses, sophisticated tests that allow us to see what's happening inside the brain, reveal that chronic low-grade inflammation caused directly by inadequate nutrition is already present years, sometimes decades, before the first visible symptoms of Alzheimer's appear. In other words, what you eat when you wake up is not an unimportant detail. It's a daily decision, conscious or unconscious, between actively protecting your brain or progressively harming it. Do you already make this choice consciously? After 60 years of age, every food choice you make has double, triple weight. Your brain is more vulnerable to attacks, that's true, but it's also true that it's extraordinarily capable of regenerating itself, forming new connections, strengthening itself when you give it exactly what it needs. Based on solid scientific evidence and my clinical experience with hundreds of patients over the years, I can say with absolute conviction that changing an inflammatory breakfast for a protective breakfast can literally add years of lucidity, preserved memory, quality of life to your existence. The difference between forgetting a beloved grandchild's name and keeping your memory sharp as a razor can be exactly in the plate you choose to put on your table when you wake up. Think about that. I want you to understand something fundamental. Your memory is precious. It's irreplaceable. It's what holds your history, your experiences, your relationships, everything that makes you who you are. Protect it from the very first meal of the day. Every small change you implement now is a powerful wall you're building against Alzheimer's in the future. And I'm going to be here with you on this journey, bringing information based on science, on evidence, on real clinical experience, because you deserve to age with dignity, with memory, with lucidity, with the ability to enjoy every moment alongside the people you love. If this video made sense to you, if you identified these errors in your routine or in the routine of someone you love, leave a comment down below telling me what your current breakfast. Let's talk. Let's exchange experiences. Share this video with that person who needs to hear this message. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now and turn on the notification bell to receive all the upcoming guidance on how to protect your brain health, your memory, your quality of life. Stay with me because every day is a new opportunity to make choices that will define how you're going to age. Your mind deserves protection, respect, and the best nutrients. A hug and see you in the next video.